Hello everybody, Jay from Pantheon Studios here. So just wanted to do a real quick video. A lot of my other stuff has been much more long form, but today we are going to be breaking down Commander Shadowsun. Again, apologies, I have no cam as Streamlabs is being an absolute dick, but we have a couple of very, very exciting things to go through in this video. Not just about Commander Shadowsun, but also a little bit of an announcement from me. Obviously, let's get all the other stuff that I have to do out of the way. Aussie Wargaming, sponsor of the channel. Go and check them out. 25% off across the board on all GW products. Later this month, we're going to be doing a giveaway for $50 in their store. If you missed it, the last video that I put out breaking down my Masters experience, we have a $50 giveaway for Irresistible Force. Now that counts as the November giveaway. We're also going to be doing them as well in December. So very, very exciting stuff. If you're not subbed already, make sure that you do. We're going to be giving away $100 a month. And this isn't like there's like minimum spend within their store or whatever. It is just a code for $50 to their store, which is fantastic. So thank you, Aussie Wargaming. Really, really appreciate it. And also on a personal note, doing what I'm doing at the moment and building up a bit of a studio and working to help people with their Tau game and everything else. And so I am launching my Patreon officially. There's not as much fanfare as I would have wanted. I'm going to save that for the deployment guide, which is coming out very, very soon. But one of the things that I will be doing as a part of that Patreon launch is doing a bunch of giveaways, just giving back to the people that are going to be, you know, helping me do stuff like, and you know, everybody knows that the world goes around based on, you know, money and everything else, and running a business successfully is something that I'm kind of getting myself into. But you know, things like improving my camera, making sure that you guys can see me all the time, getting better microphones, lighting for once I actually have that camera, improving the studio behind me, even, you know, maybe to some lofty goals like picking up different armies, getting some expertise in them, and then being able to give you guys competitive breakdowns of all of those matchups, and also leveraging some of the relationships that I have with some of the best players in Australia to really, really give you guys these in-depth deep dives as to why certain lists work and how matchups work and everything else, and not just use my own experience. But all of that requires me to build a community and start actually generating some revenue to be able to reinvest back into everything that I do. And to celebrate that, I suffered through a year of Warhammer Plus. Didn't really use it all that much, I'll be honest, but I became eligible for this. I ordered it and got the confirmation from GW recently, and I'm going to be giving that away for anybody that is a part of the Patreon at the... it's basically like the entry tier. I've made it very, very basic and very simple because I didn't want to overcomplicate it. But basically, there are 3 tiers. One at the absolute bottom, which is just people that don't want or need anything in return. They're just supporting a creator that they're a fan of. And then you've got basically like the entry tier where you get all your behind-the-scenes streams and, you know, photos and stuff from mine and my wife's life and tournaments and all this different stuff. You get a bunch of inclusions as part of it. Your name at the end of every single YouTube video, so if you like the idea of having yourself come up at the end of every video I do, then that's an opportunity to have that. So from that tier, and then there's one above that, which is basically for people that are looking for that tournament help. They want voting power on the sort of content that I create. They actually have me read their name out loud at the end of every single video. And also I chucked on there that there's this little mug when you're sub to it. I think it's for like 2 or 3 months or whatever. Patreon do up a Pantheon Studios mug with my logo on it. They send it out to you, and you know, obviously when you're doing it, they're like, oh, this will hurt your margins because you've got to pay for it out of your sub money. But I really love the idea of people that are supporting me getting something with, you know, which is my own creation that they have in their hands. I think it's really, really cool. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway for this guy. I think I'm going to close the giveaway maybe by the end of January. Because I'm going to do a bit of a fanfare launch for it with a bigger video and everything else. If you look across my channel, one of the most successful videos I have is on secondaries, and I imagine deployment guides will probably do the same thing. But if you want to get in early, if you want to make sure that you're in the running for that and supporting me and getting your names on videos and all that sort of stuff, head over to patreon.com. I'll put a link down in the description. And literally anything that people do to support me and help me build my studio is appreciated beyond belief. Now, I will say, even if you sub for 1 month and then that's it and that's all that you're able to do, I mean, Chelsea and I don't have a lot. We know exactly how the world is going. But even if you are sub for just that 1 month, you will be in the running for this, even if you cancel it later on and you never sub again. I'm not going to exclude people from that just because they are only able to support me for as long as they're able to. All right, so with that said, one other thing, I'm also very, very open to the idea because I have access to this guy and I'm probably not going to use him, also doing a giveaway for my patrons for that. So if there's any interest in getting this guy, please let me know in comments or whatever else. As part of becoming a patron, you also get access to the Pantheon Studios Discord, which is the place where you will basically get access to asking me questions and a community that I'm wanting to build of competitive 40k players, not just Tau players, but, you know, people that want to beat Tau coming in and want that information. So if this is something that's of interest to you, head over to Patreon, become a patron, and jump into the Pantheon Studios Discord. You get your own role and tag when you come in, and we can work out if this is something that people are interested in. Even if there's like 2 people that are interested in it, I will run this as a giveaway. I will buy it, I will get it in, and I will do this as a giveaway for the patrons. So that's all of the plugging from me. No, wait, Irresistible Force, amazing, ship worldwide, local gaming store in Queensland. They're a friend of the channel, have been since basically its inception. Please go and check them out and show them some love. Okay, that's all of the stuff. Let's get into the video. All right, so Shadowsun. Now, I get a lot of questions from people about why certain things are in certain lists. And there's a friend that I made who reached out to me, you know, just while doing this YouTube thing. And one of the things that he mentioned, I never thought about myself, but I realized that I kind of lucked into a very good, highly competitive group down where I am in Sydney. And a lot of other people don't have access to that. And so he was saying that, like, you look at a list, even just like a net list, when people are, you know, wanting to be more competitive or they're picking up a faction for the first time and they go, okay, everybody's running this, but why? And I realized that a lot of people don't actually have the means to extrapolate that or have people around them that can extrapolate that for them. And so I wanted to run through it, what the major draw for Shadowsun is. And this one is actually very, very, very simple, which might be surprising to people, but there is generally one reason and one reason only that you run Shadowsun. And that is basically because she has Chapter Master rerolls. Now, let's go through everything else. She hits on 2s in range, which is really all we care about. She's T5, 7 wounds, 3 up save, 5 up invulnerable save. She has 2 drones with them, one which increases her range, the other one that makes it so that unless she is the closest eligible target on the field, you cannot shoot at her, which is fantastic. She has a Manta Strike keyword. She can forward deploy wherever she wants, but to be honest, I've never really used the Infiltrator rule because why would I expose my Shadowsun like that? And so, like, really, really great all around. Oh, also, the Guardian has a 4-up invulnerable save, which is very, very nice. The main reason that you take her is for this. Full rerolls to hit. Now, in my Masters list review and talking about my matchups, I was talking about the effect mathematically that rerolls have on a unit. And I'll reiterate it here. If you have a Crisis unit, which is hitting on 4s, let's say they have no Markerlight support whatsoever. Hitting on 4s, you have a 50% completion rate as the, you know, sort of standard average would have it. As soon as you introduce rerolls, like full rerolls to your shots, you have a 75% chance of succeeding. Now that goes for whichever dice roll that you're making. And I made the argument for Exemplar of the Montcar, which, you know, to be honest, I think I'm actually going to be dropping from my list in favor of something else, but that's a whole other topic for a whole other video. Hey, sub to my Patreon and maybe I'll talk about it. So if you've got a 75% chance to hit and a 75% chance to wound, let's say it's on a Crisis unit which is packing double plasma missile pod, that's 10 shots of each. 75%, you're landing 7.5 of those shots. Barring saves, that means that around about you are having 21 damage from the plasma go through, pending saves, and you're having 14 damage from the missile pods. So you're looking at potentially 35 damage. That is enough to immediately delete a knight if you're hitting and wounding that well and they flub their saves. Now, obviously, saves are going to be what they will be, and we have no control over that. But having control over re-rolling your hits is fantastic. And this plays into list design, which is vertical in nature, not horizontal. Horizontal list design is where you have a broad range of things that do stuff well, but you're not stacking anything onto them to make them obscenely good. Think, lists that run like Riptides and maybe some Hammerheads and Fire Warriors and whatever else. Like, nothing really synergizes perfectly with each other. Vertical list design is something that I actually build a lot of my lists around because I believe that it's stronger when it comes to Tau, because we win the game from basically tabling the opponent and then going out and scoring what we need to. Vertical list design becomes so strong because you've got, let's say, in the middle of that same crisis block, 5 crisis, you've got Chapter Master rerolls, you've got a Cold Star there for auto advance 18 inches, so they are disgustingly fast. One of my favorite little tricks to use is putting Long Strike there, so counters Markalite, and also paying for his Warlord traits. They have auto wounding 6s. So if they're hitting something really big, it gives you a much better completion rate because it completely removes potentially failing on the wound roll. And even against smaller stuff, getting those auto wounds eventually starts to stack up when you think about the mathematical probability that you're going to start rolling 1s and 2s or whatever, which does happen very, very often. So that vertical list design is basically where you are hinging your game plan around that one unit, and you're going to do everything you can to make them as effective and devastating as possible, which definitely works for our army. Now, that's not to say that we don't include things that, sort of supplement our game plan and help with other things. That doesn't cancel vertical list design. But if you've got a Riptide and a Hammerhead and a Devilfish with a bunch of Fire Warriors in it, none of those work with each other. That's why they're horizontal. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that this gives you a little bit of an insight as to why Commander Shadowsun gets included in certain lists. As part of my deployment video, I'm going to be going through how I deploy my different units. Our next video is going to be on Kroot Hounds, which are the absolute MVPs, love of my life. And I'm going to actually have some footage of me on my table in my studio showing you how I set them up and how I use them to disrupt somebody's game plan, even though they're a 24-point unit with 1 wound each and have a 6-up armor save, and still manage to be the MVPs of a lot of games. So if you're interested in that, stick around, do the internet things, liking and sharing my videos to people actually has such a massive, massive impact on people finding the channel and everything else. And it doesn't cost you anything, but to me, it means the absolute world. And also, to anybody that's going to go over to Patreon, Future J is elated right now. I was dragging my feet with it because I've never been good at putting myself out there and, trying to develop something of a business relationship with people or whatever else. I've definitely been an employee by nature for my entire life. But if I do this well, I know that I can build something fantastic, create amazing content, and create other things for people to, potentially one day maybe physically hold in their hands, something that I've created, which is just so exciting. So thank you to everybody who's going to be coming on this journey with me. There's so many great perks and rewards and everything else in there. I really look forward to building this with you guys, and I will see you to talk about my beloved Kroot Hounds.